We're gonna cook a pan pizza, have some dough ready to go in a pan that's been proofing overnight. So let's just cook them out. Let's see what happens. Hot, dude. Oh my goodness, that's wild. Here's why that happened. What I loved about the Ooni Volt was that it could go anywhere in my house and be picked up. The Ooni Volt 2 is smaller, so it'll be even easier to move around. I just want to quickly go over the beauty of the new Ooni Volt 2, the redesign. Not just the shape and size of the entire oven, but the burner design. If you've ever had the Ooni Volt 1, you will notice that the burner is actually just a circle, and it's right in the middle of the Ooni Volt stone, and that meant uneven cooking it sometimes. This, however, has a coil-like burner design, both on bottom and top, which will allow for more even cooking, which I'm super excited for. The one feature that I'm gonna miss most that the Ooni Volt has that this oven doesn't have is the ability to cook outdoors. Can you take this outside and cook outdoors with it? Probably. But do you want to leave it outdoors for extended period of times? Definitely not. You also don't want to be cooking on it out in the rain. The Ooni Volt was designed with a rugged design that could withstand the elements. This one, however, is not. We have a 250 gram dough ball here, and for my pan pizzas, I love to do 250 grams of Bacio cheese, stuff right here. And it's really 1-to-1. I know some places will tell you that's a little bit too much, but honestly, for me personally, when I've added more cheese to my pizzas, I notice a different reaction from my guests. And I think when people eat pizza, they think of like ooey gooey deliciousness, right? And I feel like if we underput cheese, they don't get that same nostalgia feeling. So 250 grams for a 250 round is a lot, but for me, it just hits the spot. And what I'll do for the cheese pizzas, I'll bake out the cheese, take it out, add the sauce, bake it out, take it out again, and add the pepperoni. So a bit of a process, but it's so worth it. So we have this one in the pan pizza mode, and then this one is at 550 just because it doesn't have the ability to go in between 500 and 550. But the cool thing about this is for bottom and top heat, if you set it to 550, Ooni will recommend the bottom and top heat settings. So I'm just gonna leave that as default since this one has already a default setting for top and bottom as well. Pop them in the oven. I like to bake them off for about 2 minutes before taking them out and adding sauce. This one has a dirtier oven glass door because it's been used for almost 2 years. This glass door, however, is super clear, but also super big, so you can see more of the pizza. We're 2 minutes in on that bake, and the cheese has melted ever so slightly. I like to do this so that the sauce and the cheese start to melt together a little bit better. Interestingly enough, this one, the Ooni Volt 2, was on a lower temperature setting. It read at around 510, but you can see that this one is a little bit more melted than this one, based on how these individual cheese pieces are still more solid than this one. 2 scoops of sauce. This technique really helps with getting the sauce to not dry out too much and reduce in the oven. Also, just the way it looks after the bake with the cheese, gorgeous. So we'll go ahead and take this off. After 3 minutes, we'll go ahead and add the pepperoni and then finish baking until everything looks caramelized. Is how bright that light is compared to this. And I don't know if that's just the light being newer on this and so it's brighter, but this also just has a general brightness to it due to the color choice here, the lighting here, more light on the panel. So it does look more high-tech and futuristic, which I love. See the difference between the two ovens in terms of temperature. I have a feeling this one's gonna be a little bit hotter based on the build and durability the Ooni Volt 1 had, that this one lacks. Center, 100 degrees. Center, 111. So that's only gonna go exponentially hotter as we raise up the temperature. But right now we're at about 548 and 550 degrees here. So I'm assuming that at 800 degrees, it's gonna be significantly hotter on the Volt 2 surface compared to the Ooni Volt. Now, if you take a look right here, one thing the Ooni Volt kind of sucked at, to be honest, was when you were cooking off a pizza, there would be a huge ball of steam coming out of the Ooni Volt because of its vent. You'll notice this water tends to happen on the edges here So far, nothing. If you look right here, that is steam right here. So this little vent here, that is pretty sick. So you're not gonna have as much condensation in here, which to me is a huge benefit. So that's a neat little feature that this oven has with this oven. Now the last thing I will mention versus way louder. There's a significant buzz and hum there. So take that for what it's worth. And then final touches are going to be some pepperonis. But so far, they're cooking pretty evenly. They're looking really good. 28. If you're liking the content so far, leave a comment below and let me know how many pepperonis do you put on your 10-inch pizza. Or 12 or 14, I don't care. Just throw a number in the comments. Let me know. Overall, when it comes to this display, I haven't yet found a manual setting that you can adjust freely. You do have to stay within a range unless you do the custom preset. But all of these buttons right here have a range that you have to stay within. I think there is a beauty to having this preset, especially for the home user, someone who's making 1 or 2 pizzas at a time. But if you really want that flexibility, I am still more of a fan of this style setup right here, but who knows? I'm just playing with this for the second time, and this is my 3rd pizza on here, so maybe as I bake more pizzas with it, I'll get the hang of it. But for now, I am liking how these buttons function a little bit more. Now, because this is such a small pizza, it only needs to be rotated a limited amount of times, but the backside of the oven is going to be a little bit hotter. Here, on the other hand, I'm not entirely sure that... Ooh, that's hot, dude. Oh my goodness, that's wild. Okay, here's why that happened. The burner design on this one right here goes all the way to the edge. Whereas for here, the burner design is more of a circle and centered in the middle. Theoretically, the back of the oven's gonna be hotter than the front, right? So that's why we still wanna rotate it. But the assumption here, because the burner design goes all the way to the back, all the way to the front, you may not need to turn it. That design is gonna promote more even cooking versus this one right here. You're gonna get some darker spots in the middle on a bigger pie. There's that right there, sexy, juicy. That right there, also sexy, also juicy. But you can see right there where I'm tapping, lighter blonde cheese, also lighter blonde cheese along the edges. Over here, fully caramelized all around. So from an efficiency standpoint, the Volt 2 is clearly a winner. Would I fully recommend you get the Volt 2? Honestly, it just depends on your needs. If you're gonna be cooking outdoors a lot, I mean, some people don't have AC in their house. Some people, their homes get to like 95 degrees, and cooking with an Ooni Volt inside is gonna suck. So having the ability to cook outdoors is clutch. I am very impressed though with the Ooni Volt 2, just on sheer power and looks and design. I think all in all, I'm happy to have either one of these ovens because they clearly make spectacular pizza. I don't think one prevails necessarily, but I do think, depending on the price, I would argue that the Volt 2 is probably the better buy at this point. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment below. Which oven do you prefer and which one you're getting? Like this video and subscribe. That way you get notified whenever we post a new video. And finally, if you're buying an Ooni oven or Ooni product, I'd appreciate it if you use my affiliate link in the description below. All of those things help the channel so much. If you like this content, send some love that way. I appreciate you. I love you. Till next time. Peace.